Let's see, today we have the top 4 of the store championships that happened in Game Empire. This is John with Lannister Stark versus John with Greyjoy Lion, Banner of the Lion. The Lannister Stark setup was a Tumblestone Knight with Tyrion Lannister and a King's Road, whereas the Greyjoy player has a Lannister Reducer, the Salty Navigator, another Salty Navigator, and a Lord's Port Shipwright, and a Seastone Chair. So pretty nice setup, I think, on both sides. We'll see where they play out. So first round plots. Deciding what they want to do. Okay, so the Lannister player flips Noble Cause, whereas the Greyjoy player plays Calm over Westeros. And he chooses Intrigue. He's going to mark it with a token for the choice of claim on Calm over Westeros. Looks like the Lannister player... Oh, and the Greyjoy player does a marshalling action and kneels the King's Road with the Lord's Port Shipwright, and the Greyjoy player decides to go first, and sacks the King's Road. Phase 3, and brings out Balon. So there's a little bit of glare. Try to find the best place to film, but ultimately I'm just going to have to kind of, hopefully it will, as the cards move around, the glare will get a little bit better, but ultimately it all depends on the player's choice of sleeves, you can see. So anyways, back to it. The game, the Lannister player plays another King's Road that cannot be kneeled, and plays out Eddard Stark using the Noble Cause, and then brings out a dupe. Noble Cause and King's Road for an Eddard. Okay, so the Greyjoy player is starting challenges with no money, and the Lannister player is going to sit on 1. Oh, never mind, sorry. The Greyjoy player has 1 gold, denoted by the blue tokens. And then the Greyjoy player, his power tokens are the black and yellow, whereas the Lannister player has the, I believe he's using the gray Stark power tokens for his power. Okay, so Greyjoy player will go first. Military of 7. It's thinking about it. And including both Salty Navigators and Balon. Eddard opposes, so a challenge of 9. And the Greyjoy players, Balon gets renown. Okay, and challenges quickly to the Stark player. Intrigue from Tyrion. It's unopposed, and Tears immediately on. Oh, and we got some. Whoa! We've got Tears, Hands of Judgment, Hands of Judgment, Hands of Judgment. So 3 Hands of Judgment burn and a Tears to keep Balon alive. Pretty quick. We'll see how the lack of Hands of Judgment going forward affects it. Military challenge from the Tumblestone Knight. Quick game, quick game. These players are very well versed with the game, so they definitely play pretty quick. So hopefully I'll keep up with their pace. The Greyjoy player is taking claim for the military challenge. And Dom goes to the Lannister player, and character stand.
Yeah, that potentially could be like having 3 more.
Okay, and 2 plots for round 2.
Yeah, no, that's right, yeah. We can try 3.
Let's see, some pretty good character spread on the Lannister side. Got Edark, which is always very strong, especially against Balon without any form of strength increase, such as the 2 plots. Ooh, trading for Potoshi, I believe, versus calling the banners. Ooh, that's a lot of gold for the Lannister player. The Lannister player will take 5 from calling banners, 3 from Potoshi, making an 8 plus 3 for his base. So that will be 11, and he has a King's Road on the table. So we'll see if maybe a large character will come out, Tywin, possibly. 10 for the Greyjoy player. He has 2 Lannister reducers and 10 gold. So we'll see how he plays out. Marshalling?
The one guy who beat me today, he just had to play my gold, right? And if he ever did
the Lannister player doesn't have enough gold. He must use a power token to substitute gold. So the Lannister player chose to go first. He's marshalling. Rose Road comes out for a limited, as well as, I believe that is Casterly Rock? If I remember correctly, it's the 3-cost location. I believe that one lets you draw? Don't quote me on that. Okay, so the Lannister player is sitting on a large amount of gold. Okay, and wow, the glare on that card is incredible. Maybe it will get moved over. Hopefully both you and I can discover what that card is. It looks like it might be an Asha. I can see 4 strength through the glare. Oh, no, sorry, it's a Lannister character. You can see there by the lion logo. So I suspect that is Tyrion, 4 strength. And then we have Theon come out as well. And you can note, because it's most likely Tyrion, because you have the 2 reducing. Okay, so we got Edark quickly to challenges phase. Edark with a military challenge, and opposed by the Salty Navigator, and the Greyjoy player quickly takes claim, renown for Edark. See, so now we can clearly see Tyrion on the board. Tyrion, stealthing, Lordsport Shipwright. Both players get the reaction for Tyrion. The Greyjoy player opts to ambush the Hound for 4 gold, and then decides not to trigger reactions. And the Lannister player tears the list again on Balon, really trying to get Balon off the table. Right, so it is the draw location for the Lannister player. Very nice, giving him some draw economy there. And Balon will, unless Greyjoy has a save in hand and does not get removed from claim, a second Seastone Chair in the Greyjoy player's hand is claimed for intrigue. So we have a 1 strength power challenge from the Lannister reducing character. And a block from the Hound. Okay. Military challenge. Stealthing Edark. Reaction for Edark to stand when a challenge is declared.
That happens later if you want to do it.
Okay, so no defenders. Okay, the Greyjoy player will trigger Seastone Chair. The Lannister player will have Treachery in hand.
You got it.
So now
Alright.
the Greyjoy player will see. So this is, I believe, the Lannister player made a mistake in that he does still owe the Greyjoy player claim a quick Intrigue challenge from the Greyjoy player,
Power,
and
stealth.
claim out of hand, and then a power challenge from Tyrion, stealthing Edark, gains the Greyjoy player a power claim. And Balon will die, so the Greyjoy player does not have a save in hand. So, quick game. The Lannister player has 5 power, whereas the Greyjoy player has only 4 power, 1 on Theon and 3 on the house card, whereas Lannister has 4 on their house card and 1 on Edark Stark. So Balon surviving only 1 tier's list, but could not save the second one. Quickly to plots. So we have summons on the Lannister player, and counting coppers on the Greyjoy player. Deciding who goes first. Believe the Greyjoy player opted to go first.
It would be brutal against my deck. Or against Greyjoy. I have a long radio ships.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
All the
6.
way across, yeah.
I didn't draw it.
I just don't think those decks are
Okay, so the Lannister player was asking how many cards the Greyjoy player has in hand. Greyjoy player had 6, and he had yet to draw, so he'll draw 2 more and go up to 8. The Lannister player picks up Arya out of the summons
I
plot.
guess it's non-limited. You keep your limits. I think it's just non-limited.
No, you just choose to keep the rest of the discard. You can save it.
Right.
It's not can't be saved.
The plot that trashes locations.
So a little stall in the game here. Okay, and we're to the draw, and I believe Greyjoy player opted to go first, but we will certainly verify that to Marshall. So the Greyjoy player will have 2 income and 1 Lannister reducing character. Roseroad comes out. Greyjoy has some more economy.
Oh, no.
And gains a dupe. Playing.
Taking the action.
No. Oh, yeah.
And the Lannister player was reminding the Greyjoy whether he wanted to use the Lannister shipwright to kneel the King's Road. And
Yeah, go ahead.
Arya comes out on the Lannister side and gains a dupe from her reaction from entering prey through marshalling. Okay, and quickly to challenges. Okay, military. Oh. No.
Oh, Arya's got military and grab like that.
The Tyrion or the Greyjoy players issues a intrigue challenge with Tyrion. Reaction. And he stealths Edark Stark. Even though it's an intrigue challenge, but no one else has an intrigue. Tyrion blocks, and using the Widow's Wail ambush ability, wins the intrigue challenge, gaining him a draw from the reaction. Showing us his cards. He's got Tywin in hand. Maybe he just drew it and he's really excited about that.
No.
Okay. Looks like the Greyjoy player is indecisive, but possibly choosing to pass challenges.
Okay, you want me to? You want me to? Come on. Let's see.
I think the Arya with stealth definitely hurts Greyjoy's board state. Theon's really helping to. So we've got a military of 5 and stealthing Edark. So, and Arya chooses to oppose.
Alright, sure.
Okay, so claim is taken on the Lannister side, and challenges, past challenges. Edark does a I do not know what type of challenge, but we'll find out. He did a military challenge, and now the Tumblestone Knight is doing a power, and it will be opposed by the Lannister Merchant. And the Lannister player gains Dom, so Lannister player up 7 power versus the Greyjoy's 3 power. It's not looking good for the Greyjoy player, especially Lannister player was showing us Tywin in hand. It looks like he has plenty of economy to put that out, giving renown as well as the high strength necessary to push through challenges. So we'll see how it goes. Maybe the Greyjoy player really looking for some more stealth, Asha or Windermere, give him more stealth on the power challenges. Okay, Wildfire versus Confiscation. So Greyjoy is playing Confiscation in a more offensive ability versus, say, in reaction to Milk or some other opponent's attachment. And we have Wildfire on the Lannister player trying to thin out the board, maybe preparing the board state for Tywin. Okay, and here we go. There we go. Big man himself. Tywin's out. And passes marshalling. And a fishmonger comes out on the Greyjoy player, and another one, possibly setting up for more claim soak or for the ability to put out cheaper characters later down the road. Now that Wildfire is off on the opponent's side, the Greyjoy player may feel more comfortable putting out more characters. And maybe he's just not running Wildfire in his own deck, and so he now feels more comfortable kind of saving those characters back until after he feels his opponent has Wildfired. And keeping those resources in hand is pretty valuable. You learn, I guess, early on against Wildfire to not necessarily flood the board with your reducers, because they're excellent in helping you rebound after your characters have been sort of wiped from Wildfire.
I hate confiscation and counting copper.
Okay, another reducer again from the Landis side, and the Hound coming out for 2. That Hound is giving the Greyjoy player pretty good value, staying off the board, so not losing him to Wildfire, as well as providing him the high strength to oppose. Okay, Lannister player triggers an intrigue challenge with Tyrion, gaining 2 gold, to also increase Tywin's strength. He chose to stealth the Lannister Merchant, and the Greyjoy player goes unopposed. They forget they rewind a little bit and redo the triggers, so the Greyjoy player also gains 2 gold, and the Lannister player draws a card from his location. A military challenge with Edark and Arya. Arya targets the Hound with stealth, and the Greyjoy player is forced to unopposed and loses Tyrion to put to the sword. And the Greyjoy player was fainting that Tyrion should be used for claim, but that is not so. Put to the sword happens before claim is imposed, and so the Greyjoy player still owes a character to be killed. Chose the Lannister Merchant as claim. Okay, so challenges to challenges to the Greyjoy player. He's worried about Tywin's opposition. Also allowing the Lannister player to gain dominance when he's at such a high power lead leads to the possibility that the Lannister player could trigger a high initiative plot next turn and take it before the Greyjoy player has the ability to respond.
Intrigue?
Intrigue challenge from the Lannisport Merchant. Or not the Lannisport Merchant, the Lannisport, or the Lord's Port Shipwright. Gains 2 gold. Greyjoy player noted that he does not get his reaction because Tyrion was put to the sword. So this brings Tywin up to 9 strength presently, and unopposed from the Greyjoy player for intrigue, and a treachery pulled out of the Lannister's hand. Lannister player's hand, pretty nice pull. Maybe even makes for the ability to get the Seastone chair off. Looks pretty difficult, especially without with only 1 stealth character on the Greyjoy side and 2 military icons on the Lannister player side. A power challenge issued from the Greyjoy player with Theon. He's stealth Edark. And Tywin opposes with Renown. Military challenge from the Hound. And blocked by Edark. And the duplicate of Edark. Okay, and the forced reaction from the Hound. And the Greyjoy player gains... Oh, no, I believe the Lannister player gains dominance with his gold. So it is 8, 10, 11 power on the Lannister side to 4 on the Greyjoy side. And the Lannister player plays Wardens of the West, which allows you to force your opponent to discard 2 cards if you pay 2 gold when you win an intrigue challenge, whether on offense or defense. And the Greyjoy player plays Calling the Banners, gains 4 gold immediately from when revealed effect, and then he has 4 gold available to him, 3 from the plot and 1 from Rose Road. King's Road comes out, sacks it.
3, 4.
5 reducing, brings out Euron for 2 gold. Pretty nice. A little too, the Greyjoy player noted, a little too late. Too little, too late for Euron. Would have been really nice to see him earlier. And the Hound comes out again. Trying to keep the Hound on the table rather than paying the ambush cost. Okay, the Lannister player collects 9 gold, 5, 7, 8 gold. Plays a Tumblestone Knight, a Brothel Madam, and then triggers the Brothel Madam challenge, asking the Greyjoy player whether he wants to play 1 gold to issue a military challenge, fueling Tywin's strength. The Greyjoy player is definitely contemplating it. It may not be necessary to issue a military challenge from the Greyjoy side, although I mean, the Lannister player has plenty of claim soak with either the Tumblestone Knight or even the Brothel Madam.
Hang on, maybe I will go, John. I'm gonna lose all my cards on the injury. Oh, would you?
Okay,
No,
so I believe the Greyjoy player opted not to pay the cost of the Brothel Madam.
Just to do something. 15.
So definitely a lot of contemplation by the Greyjoy player. Definitely down in board state and power. So 2 challenges. So the Tyrion issues an intrigue challenge, stealthing Euron, gains 2 gold. Okay. Oh. Okay. So before intrigue claim is imposed, the Greyjoy player opts to ambush Widow's Wail onto Euron, and then opposes with the Lord's Port Shipwright, and the do not know where the claim of 2 came from. Maybe that was the only card the Greyjoy player had. I don't believe something would trigger to give him an extra intrigue claim. Okay. Tumblestone Knight. Chewing a small challenge. I believe it's a military challenge. Trying to kneel out one of the bigger guys with the small chud to be able to have Edark and Tywin go in for the power challenge. Okay, so I believe he opts to oppose military challenge, and pillage is triggered, and Sansa is triggered for pillage, and the Greyjoy player gains King's Road from Euron's ability.
2 3 minutes. Maybe.
Definitely a lot of contemplation on both sides. Oh. So a power challenge from Push from the Lannister, stealthing the Hound, and he's going to oppose with Theon. Yep, Dom goes to the Greyjoy player. So one more power to gain from the Lannister player for the win, and whereas the Greyjoy player really couldn't find the stealth that he really needed to be able to push through the Seastone Chair. So Wildfire Assault versus that March to the Wall. I feel like that's like a very common combo that ends up going off. You know, you have to, whether if you're March to the Wall, you decide whether you want 2 or 3 characters for both sides. It's pretty interesting that it comes up. I believe the Lannister player opted for 2 characters. Simply because he only had 2 characters that really had any power on them. So I think it was more beneficial for the Lannister player to just have less to oppose. And I think we'll see a very quick victory here from the Lannister player. Yep, so the Lannister player takes it.